Welcome to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. Are you a goofball that loves Giants football? If so, sit back and relax as we talk about the team that both excites and frustrates us so much. And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
Welcome, fellow goofballs, to Two Giant Goofballs in your Giants podcast. I am Drew, joined as always by...
I'm me, Rob, and what a divisional card weekend.
The divisional card weekend?
The divisional card. I was just going to go with it.
Round?
Yes.
You're just like adding the wild card and the divisional round together.
Well, it was wild, because it was wild.
What do we know about the playoffs for Giants fans?
It's been a while.
Oh, yeah. Don't get that Stain song stuck in my head. Come on. And right.
It's been a while.
But yeah, guys, we still, as always, year round, Giants news. There's always something going on here. So we have an ex-Giant that signed on with a brand new team in a brand new league. We got, of course, a little Hard Knocks news there, a little damage control by the NFL teams. We got an interview that was done with Theo Johnson and some interesting quotes there. Michael Strahan going to yet another Hall of Fame there. And, of course, we're continuing our series of doing position review and going over everything with the edge rushers for this past season here. One of the few rooms I think you can say it wasn't a horrible one, but we got some ups, we got some downs, we got some mids, we got some moderates, we got some all kinds of things here going on here, guys. So let's first break it down talking about the latest in interviews here, because we got second interviews for some of these Giants here, guys.
Ooh.
We talked about the fact that Mike Kafka keeps getting job interviews, even though he literally ran the worst offense in the entire league. I'm still confused by that one. Sorry. And then Brandon Brown, of course, a guy that a lot of us think should have perhaps taken the job away from Joe Shane this past offseason here to start. But instead, now he's interviewing with the Raiders. Had his first interview already, went very well. He's going for a second interview. Mike Kafka is also going for a second interview with the New Orleans Saints. Now, keep in mind, both of these candidates would qualify to get us extra draft picks. So if either are signed, while it'd be a loss for the team overall, we would go ahead and get extra draft picks at that point because they're both diversity hires. So at least there's some good things. We could have a ton of draft picks next year because it wouldn't apply this year. It'd be the 2026 NFL draft. We would get that. If only we had it this year. In case we want to move up and get a quarterback or something. Wouldn't be the worst thing. But, if they were hypothetically hired, and we knew we're getting 2 third-round picks for each, I believe that's the compensation we get, then what we'd be able to do is we'd be able to go ahead and use that knowledge to go, okay, I can trade away a third-round pick or a fourth-round pick next year, and it's not a big deal because I have extra picks coming. So there is some benefit this draft because of that,
Yeah.
But, we lost you again, Rob.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, he just like a talking ball now. Oh, it gone again. Here today, gone tomorrow.
And I leave it.
Line. But yeah, like I said, so I guess there's some positivity on either one of them potentially being picked up. But to be very frank, I'd rather keep Brandon Brown, especially because I think that we may need him next year to be our GM, depending on how things work out. Yeah. Let's have a plan when we fire people, not like the Cowboys. We don't do things on a whim here.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. All righty. Let's talk about Tae Crowder. A guy I thought we'd never talk about here again at the show. Here he is, Tae Crowder, signing with the UFL. That's where we gone down to with him there. So obviously originally he was Mr. Irrelevant, the very last overall pick in the draft back in 2020, originally out of Georgia, spent 3 seasons with the Giants, 43 games, 31 starts, 232 tackles, including 130 in 2021 there. That's a really high number for a guy that's already out of the league now at this point, a couple years later. Obviously there were some issues while he was towards the tail end of his Giants career, as he was tweeting, "Let me out and free me," basically at the point. Well, yeah, he got freed, and nobody wanted him after that. So careful what you ask for when you're a fringe NFL player. But since then, he's had some stints with the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Los Angeles Chargers, and the Tennessee Titans. That was all in 23, by the way, guys. And the only one he was in a couple games for was 2 games with the Tennessee Titans and very minimal appearances in those 2 games. He sat out the entire 24 season, and now he has signed with the UFL Birmingham Stallions there. So, yeah, guys, yeah, I think we made the right move by cutting him. I think it's safe to say, like, the NFL world has spoken.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Bye.
Listen, I hope the best for him. I mean, keep in mind also, people forget sometimes when they say these kind of stupid things, like he said, that was in 22. So it was a couple of years ago. And he's a young kid at that point still. We all said stupid things in our 20s. You get mad in the moment, but you got to kind of be able to move past it a little bit later on. And go, okay, well, that was stupid. But what stupid things did I say when I was 24, 25 years old?
I just thank God the internet wasn't what it's like today.
I'm 42. And I'm still saying stupid things. You guys hear it on a regular basis on the show.
Yeah.
So, honestly, best of luck to him. Hopefully he can get back on his feet and to playing football again. Obviously, it's something he loves doing, or he wouldn't be doing it in the UFL, trying to resurrect his career. So, best of luck to him, and hopefully he gets another shot at the league there. Maybe do a little maturing in the process there,
Hopefully.
All right. Let's talk about an issue the NFL is having now. Might be no more Hard Knocks off season. And that's just how well it went for the Giants, to be honest. Teams are extremely wary about going on to the show after what happened with the Giants. Obviously, they were publicly embarrassed throughout this whole season and continue to be, actually, if you want to really go into it. Mostly because of Joe Shea opening up his damn trap. But, it's...
Well, yeah. Well, it also doesn't help that when you're a GM, it's like, yeah, we're going to save some cap space. It's going to be hard Band-Aid ripoff. We're going to have to get rid of Barkley. Doesn't say the nicest thing about him. Mara says, I would really lose sleep if he goes to Philadelphia. And what does he do? Goes to Philadelphia and almost breaks the all-time record.
Yeah. And so, now he's on pace to go. He's going to the NFC Championship game. And to be honest, they're the favorite to go to the Super Bowl. So, yeah, not good if you're John Mara. Probably not sleeping very well. Perhaps I can recommend the Calm app.
So, Calm, if you want to sponsor us, please.
Just saying. Oh, my gosh. But, yeah, so NFL Films VP Keith Crossrow was on the Pat McAfee show and said, there's definitely a chance. We hope it's back. We're talking to a bunch of teams about it. We'll see what happens. I mean, we need a willing participant on that one. We're not going to force someone to do that show. That show is about a process, and I think it's really cool to have been able to make a show about, hey, we're going to start in January, and we're going to have an endpoint after the draft, and you're going to see how a group of people faced with a really difficult decision going about making those decisions. Well, yeah, it's a cool concept. But let's be honest, guys. If you don't force a team to do Hard Knocks, most teams are like, ooh, let me do Hard Knocks.
Yeah. Unless, like, you're, like, who to start with, Philadelphia or start with Cleveland? Because, like, they needed, some publicity, like, some people, like, watching them, like, to get something going.
I thought Cleveland's been on, like, twice or so. I guess 3 times now because they were in that AFC North one, too, that they just did. So,
yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, Cleveland is very well versed on being in Hard Knocks. And obviously the Jets were because there was the Antonio Cromartie incident where you know the name of the kids. All 35 of them or whatever many. But, but yeah, it's like I said, it's a nice concept though. This one specifically, I like this one because it shows you a little bit behind the scenes. The training camp part is nice too. Don't get me wrong, but this part of it I find very interesting about how decisions were made. Things that led up to it. Like we as Giants fans learned a little bit about what happened as far as the Brian Burns trade, Joe Shane with Saquon Barkley, the look at the rookie quarterbacks and who they liked and didn't like, and some of the interactions there. I thought it was very interesting, and not even as a Giant fan, but just as a football fan. I think I would have enjoyed it no matter what, even if I wasn't a Giants fan.
Yeah. I'm usually not the biggest Hard Knocks fan. I usually don't watch behind the scenes stuff like reality TV, but like I did like watching seeing what I saw, like actually knowing the behind the scenes. So like I don't know.
Yeah, like I said, I think it'd be successful if they kept it going.
Yeah,
but, I honestly, if you want to pick a team right now, if I'm them, I'm picking the Cowboys to be the interesting team right now. Like, dropping Mike McCarthy randomly after like holding on to him for too long. The the process of trying to figure out a new coach and then getting a staff going while also trying to figure out what to do with your offseason. Like the Cowboys would be the perfect team to do that with right now. Everybody else is starting to hire coaches. They're just getting to the game.
Well, they kind of tanked themselves last year, so
they've been tanking for 30 years. So
it's been fantastic.
All righty, guys. Let's talk about Theo Johnson here. Not to be confused with Theo Huxtable. Theo Johnson talking to the CBC, which, if you're not sure what that is, that's the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. Because if you forgot what this is all about, Theo Johnson is from Canada. So, Canada.
Oh, Canada. That's right on our Mounties and Mooses.
Don't you know now?
Yeah, Mountie man right in the Mooses.
Oh yeah, but it was a nice interview because you got to see some of his thoughts. I think he was pretty much like, don't get me wrong, every athlete when they say it says their veiled comments that are cliche and everything, but I think he got to kind of get a little bit about how he felt about his rookie season there. He said on his start as a rookie, he said they throw the world at you as soon as you walk into the door. I feel like time's really flown by since I came in, but I think all in all, for me personally, it was a good year. I feel like I accomplished a lot. I don't know if I'd say a lot, but it wasn't a bad rookie year.
Yeah,
start. If he didn't get hurt, he probably would have had 500-600 yards, which is a good rookie season, especially as a tight end. Even as a wide receiver, you'd be like, okay, that's not bad. You got something to build on. Let's see what happens year two. But that's what happens now is you got a guy who's rookie season now, didn't do anything the first couple of games, really slow start, and then became a part of the organization. 331 yards. Again, if he hadn't been hurt, that'd probably be 500-600. He got better. But the injury happened. Can't ignore that part of it. But like I said, I think it's an interesting concept as far as looking at how he's going to grow in this, because you and I said when we looked at him as a draft profile, he's a little bit of a project. Penn State didn't quite use him right, which is very much a theme for Penn State players. I feel like every Penn State player is a project in some way. But this is a guy who, point blank, we saw the talent, we saw the ability, we didn't necessarily see some of the execution in college. And the fact that he progressed and got better as the season went on tells you he's coachable, he's learning, he's improving. And I'm hoping for a nice sophomore season from him there. I think at this point, again, it's like if he can get 500-600 yards, I'm not looking for anything crazy. Give me 500-600 yards. That's a good second season. And stay healthy. That's the big thing. Stay healthy.
I was gonna say.
Yeah. You can't get hurt every year. Not to say he's gonna, because he got hurt once, but we're Giants fans. We're used to people getting hurt. Talking about the 24 season, he said it's tough coming in every week and trying to put your best foot forward, and falling short is not easy. But it's hard to win games in this league. I think the struggles that we went through this year gave me a lot of learning opportunities. I'm going to take that in consideration this year and this offseason because I don't want to ever go through that again. That's about as nice an answer as you get.
Because he's Canadian.
Hey, I'm just saying, like, that's where we're at. Like, that's nice. Like, it was tough. Like, admit it's tough because it is tough. I hate people like try to BS it. Like, yeah, that's tough. This sucks. Like, that's basically to said in a nice way. But I'm going to learn we're going to be better going forward. That's classic and good as you get there. Talking about his injury, he said, I broke my 5th metatarsal in the Thanksgiving game against Dallas, so I had to have season-ending surgery on it. I'm doing great with recovery. I'm almost cleared and a few weeks out from being fully cleared. My rookie year came to an end, but I'm back in the right direction now. So, yeah, that's nice that he went ahead and, got a chance to get healthy before the season starts then too, because that means his off-season programming won't be changing. Whenever you have a surgery, there's always a chance for potential setback. We're seeing it now with J.J. McCarthy, for example, with the Vikings. He's had to have a couple surgeries. So what he's saying, Theo Johnson, is point blank, like, I'm ready to go soon. So it's like regular off season for him at that point, So always glad to see that there. On the 25 season, he said, I think I'm going to play a big role in being able to help turn this organization around and turn this offense around. We know what we do is just a matter of going out there and doing it week in and week out. Well, in all fairness, they do what they do week in, week out when they suck too.
Wrong.
We guys got to figure out how not to suck. That's basically what it boils down to. Like, it's like almost like the movie Spaceballs. We need to like flip the switch from suck to blow. Like
she's gone from suck to blow.
That's what I just feel like. It's like it's not like it's not one particular person. Let's be honest. We've changed plenty of faces out the last couple of years. Except for quarterback, but now we're going to do that finally this offseason. But it's like we've gotten a lot of different players, especially if you look at tight end. Bellinger, Waller, Theo Johnson. That's all in the last couple of years. Like tight end has not been the issue, but again, it's a good rookie year by Theo Johnson. I think it's not great because he had that slow start. It's not great because he got injured, but there's something we can build on. I think there. And I think that's he's going to be a key component to this offense, like he said, going forward. I really do think he's going to be a decent role in that. He's not going to be Neighbors, obviously. He's not going to be, replicating what Brock Bowers is doing at the Raiders. But he's going to be a guy that I think is a solid starting tight end in this league. How high that goes, it's going to probably take a couple of years for us to know that answer. But he has the athleticism. We talked about it when he got drafted. He has the athleticism. Like this guy has like elite athleticism for this position. It's just a matter of can he put that together with the route running, with the blocking and all that kind of stuff to be an elite tight end. I think that's probably a high ask to expect him to be an elite tight end, but he can be above average. That I think is not unreasonable.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like not everyone's going to be out there and be like Travis Kelce of like 10 years of dominance or like a Mark Andrews dominance or Brock Bowers coming out his rookie year. Like you really don't see that.
Do you know how confused Taylor Swift would be if there's multiple Travis Kelces? She had to write a whole new album.
Right? About each one. But I mean, you got tight ends over in like what's his face over in Kraft over in Green Bay has played very well.
Oh yeah.
Like if you have a Kraft on your team, like that goes a long way.
Yes. Just got to keep this Kraft out of the massage parlors.
Yeah. I say Robert Kraft.
I'm just saying.
Different one.
I've heard it's an issue.
Kraft mac and cheese.
I got the blues. All right, guys. We got one more Giants topic to talk about here news-wise. Then we're going to pay the bills real quick, and we're going to get into our discussion on the Giants edge rushers from last year there. And it's Strahan being inducted at the College Football Hall of Fame. And look how young Strahan looks in that picture. Totally different. Like,
right?
I'm so used to see the modern Strahan. It's like almost like, is that Strahan's kid? Like,
that's like, did that gap develop yet?
Yeah. Oh my God, that gap develop. Wow.
Tell me I'm wrong. That's like, that thing looks like it gets wider every year.
I can't tell. He's not smiling. I can't tell. So I'm sure it was there just then too as well. Probably with him since he was a kid. So anyway, yeah. So again, he's going into the College Football Hall of Fame, which I gotta say I was a little shocked by that because you don't look at Strahan as this amazing, great college football player. Like he had obviously a great pro career, but I mean he was not exactly the guy. Like it was like he was a first round, top 10 pick coming out of college. Yeah. I don't know. I wonder sometimes with stuff like that if it's the name. He was literally drafted 40th overall. I doubt the 39 people drafted before him got in.
Probably not, but also it always doesn't pan out that way. Like how many times does the number one overall make it to the Hall of Fame? or just
no, but
becomes
this
a bust.
is a college football one. Like that's his resume.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that's what was supposed to get him in is what he did in college. And if he was so good in college, then why, did he not get in off there? So yeah, you look at here's his numbers, and I take it back. I got Micah Strahan instead of Michael Strahan. I looked up his college stats. Do you have a kid in there? Yeah, I'm not even finding any stats here for him, but I mean, again, it's something you don't hear about. You don't really hear about him in college. Like you hear about some of these guys when they're in, college and what they did coming out and later on, like, oh, he's so dominant at this school, whatever. You don't really hear that Strahan. Here we go. So let's see, Black College Hall of Famer, SWAC Hall of Famer, single season school record in sacks 19, career sack holder with 41. See, Division I AA Defensive Player of the Year. Yeah, like I said, I'm not trying to say he's had a bad career. I just don't think of Michael Strahan as like one of the best college players to ever play the college game. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But listen, he's going to bring a crowd when he goes in. Anyway, this is what the Giants released on him. Strahan put together a legendary career at Texas Southern. Prior to landing with the Giants, he graduated both the program's single-season sack record, 19 in 1992, along with the all-time sack record, 41.5. He also earned numerous accolades, including first-team All-American, Division I AA Defensive Player of the Year, 1992 Black College Defensive Player of the Year, two-time SWAC Defensive Player of the Year, and All-SWAC member. Strahan was then drafted 40th by the Giants in the 1993 draft. He would go on to play 15 years in the NFL, all of which spent with the Giants. He finished just a half a sack shy of the Lawrence Taylor for the unofficial franchise sack record, while his 141.5 sacks are officially the sixth most in NFL history. Yeah, like I said, no doubt, great player. No doubt, great player. I just was a little shocked by that because I didn't expect that coming in. Now, what's interesting is that is in Atlanta. So maybe I look to see about that one. Maybe we'll see. Maybe I look to try to go to Atlanta for this. Also being inducted this year, Nick Saban, Urban Meyer, Alec Mack, Terry Metcalf, Haloti Ngata, Dennis Thurman, and Michael Vick. So interesting group of and a lot of those guys there are guys that I think of. I mean, Nick Saban, obviously, Urban Meyer, obviously, Michael Vick, you remember him when he played in Virginia Tech. Like that was like electrifying when he was playing in college. Like, maybe that's part of it with Strahan. I wasn't around in the early 90s at that point watching college football like that. So we got any old timers that are watching him play at that point, feel free to drop a comment there. Let us know what you thought as far as Michael Strahan as a as a college football player there. All righty, guys. Let's pay the bills. Then we're going to get to some comments, and then we'll talk about some edge rushers here. So let's go.
Enjoying the show? Looking for more goofball action? Consider a membership at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Memberships start at just $5 and give you additional goofball access. One-time support payments also available starting at just $3. buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs.
All righty, guys. So let's take a look here at the comments we got here. So first up, we got, of course, me apologizing for us being late. Rob got to work late. Look, Rob's camera's going away. That's how embarrassed he is now.
Oh, jeez. Some of us have to drive all over the state, Drew, where it snows.
What's snow? What is this snow stuff?
See, down by you, it's called something else, and it's not the let's hang out to 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, all night at the club. This is actually stuff that falls out of the sky.
Hold on. You get cocaine in the sky? kind of skies are these?
Welcome to Jersey.
Clinton Jones says, "Hey, how you doing? How's it going, Clinton?
How you doing, man?"
Brandon says, "I'm not gonna lie. I always wanted to see the Giants at Hard Knocks. Wish they hadn't been on there now. Yeah, it's kind of embarrassing looking back on it, right?
A lot of the organization, a lot of the fans of the organization feel the same way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Deb says Brandon Brown was invited and participated in NFL's front office accelerator program. Kind of speaks for itself. I mean, listen, if you are looking for a job as a GM and you get the chance to go to any kind of accelerator program or any kind of NFL front office program and you don't do it, shame on you. Because even if you don't learn anything at these things, hypothetically, if you just use it as a networking event, and something like Rob said, to put on your resume, I don't want to sit there and say, oh, he probably learned all these things. I have no clue what the hell they actually learn at these things. Like, how many of us have been to training seminars and haven't learned a damn thing? Like, let's be honest.
How many times you got into a work seminar and it's like, oh, it's a 4-day thing, and all you do is drink for 3 nights.
Never done that.
No, what? That's a good thing I don't work for that company anymore.
A 4-day thing. I drank for 4 nights. Woo.
Well, the 4th one, you usually travel back.
Oh, no, you got to travel a day to get there, too.
Yeah. Touche. Yeah, Rob.
Andre says, what's up, Joe and Rob? How you guys? How's it going?
What's up, Andre?
Neymar says, Mike Kafka gets head job. What do you guys think about Nick's win? Did he get the job when we missed that? We're on the show here. I don't think he did. Last time I heard, I'm looking right now. He's emerging as a top candidate, is what they're still saying. So I haven't heard anything as far as that. I know Anthony Weaver's also, going to be, doing a second interview as well there. So, we'll see. Again, I find it just crazy that you got the guy who literally ran the worst offense in the entire NFL. He's like, that's the guy we need to interview.
The top candidate.
Yeah, like, oh, yeah. That's definitely not cool. Dakota says, woohoo. And of course, he's still living it up as an Eagles fan. And I'll say this so that way we know I'm on the record saying this. The same thing I messaged him when he tried to message the show and be all happy about the win. Listen, be happy about the win. I'm not knocking Eagle fans for being happy about the win whatsoever. All I'm going to say is this. You got to a Super Bowl without Saquon. Anything short of a Super Bowl win is not a win for that signing. Point blank. You got to get a ring to make that signing worth it.
Listen, you guys legit almost lost to the Rams. Like, it literally came down to like that last play. And yeah, like you said, that's how you make a win. Like that's not a dominant performance, man. Like you guys almost lost.
Yeah. That's not cool. That's for sure. Let's see. Steven says there are networking opportunities, and I think he's talking about what Deb was talking about as far as
the acceleration program.
100% are, but they also do lectures and conversations that talking about leadership. I'm looking here. I looked to verify real quick to make sure I'm not talking out of my tuchus, to put it nicely. Leadership, player engagement, leveraging media opportunities, negotiating for oneself, and body language. Apparently, that's the one that the last one they did at that point. That's the ones they had as well. But it's a 3-day event, ironically, like Rob said as well. So, but again, it's a good, like I said, it's a good thing to go to just for the networking part of it there. That's how you meet people. That's how you know about these things, Ibros, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I think it's an I. Is it an I, a capital I or a lowercase L? I don't know. Is it Libro, Ibro? Let me know which one. Says, do y'all think we go BPA or Shador at 3? I see Ward going 1, but I have no idea what the Browns do. I've been saying it all along. I will continue to say it all along until I'm proven otherwise wrong. I still think Shador Sanders will be picked by the Giants. How? I don't know. Could be a trade. Could be at 3. I don't know. But something just tells me Shador Sanders will be a New York Giant. Just a gut feeling I have. I have no inside knowledge in this. I have nobody whispering in my ear saying things like that. It's just a gut feeling I have. And partially because I still think that the Browns are on the list of teams that the Sanders family has said point blank he's not going to play for. I find it hard to believe that they're not going to be on that list. So.
Yeah. Let's take in the past, 25 years, they've had 24 quarterbacks.
Yeah, and how many head coaches? I mean, they got the Tom Brady thing now, which is a little different, and that makes some people thinking differently of the Raiders, especially their fans. But in the end, I don't think if I'm sorry, the Browns. I'm thinking Raiders here. But the Browns, like they've had how many coaches, how many QBs, how many everything at that point. Plus, they have the whole issue of Deshaun Watson. Like Deshaun Watson may be hurt for 1 year. We'll find out what happens there. But he's also been, somebody they have a lot of money invested in. They might have to look at figuring out what to do next year. Because if he's injured, I don't know what that does to his contract money-wise. It's a really, really gray area with the Browns and what they're going to do. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, let's see. Dakota says, we were able to play the Rams. Okay. Now anyone can play the Rams. What's the point? You got to win a ring, dude. You went to the Super Bowl without Barkley. If you don't get a ring,
I call it now.
Then
Commanders win over the Eagles.
Listen, I will be very ecstatic. It's like, as a Giant fan, it's like, how do you root for? We talked about in the show plenty of times. We hate the Eagles. We hate the Cowboys. We don't hate the Commanders. That's like the little brother. I wouldn't even be mad if they win a Super Bowl ring. Is that scary? Like, I really don't think I'd be mad. And it's mostly because Commanders fans don't talk the trash that the Eagles and Cowboys fans do.
Well, that's because they haven't been good in so long.
But hello? When's the last time the Cowboys were good? They won a ring in 30 years.
Actually, Eagles fans talk a lot of shit without even winning a ring.
They got one ring finally and took Nick Foles.
Yeah. Big
Nick freaking Foles.
Yeah. Yeah, Donovan McNabb and talked a lot of shit.
Yeah, him and his chunky soup.
Yeah. Mama.
Says, was Kafka really running the offense? He did a better job calling plays than Dable. Oh, I don't dispute the play calling and all that kind of stuff. But in the end, your job as offensive coordinator and your offensive coordinator for the worst offense in the entire league, regardless of what percentage of that is Kafka, he's still highly involved in it. And that's
his
OC job.
It kind of goes back to like what we were saying about Brown when you're talking about the acceleration program. Like the optics, just go and makes it look good. The optics of being on the worst offense in the NFL, and you're the coordinator for them, doesn't look good.
Yeah. Like I said, no matter what, you're associated with that because of title. Point blank. So
100%.
Tim, what's up, man? It says, should the Giants trade up to the Titans and select Ward first overall from Miami in the first round of the 25 NFL draft? That depends on two things, Tim. One, do you think he's a generational talent? Two, what's the cost? If the cost is there and you think he's worth it, then go for it. But he better be worth it.
Yeah. Otherwise, everyone, that's it. Off with their heads.
Here's the
Put them on the pikes. Let's go.
Do you think Shane cares? Because Shane's already been told point blank and proven you're gone next year. I'll give you all of our draft picks next year. I don't care. Just give me a quarterback. I don't care.
And it's not hard to say when you win next to no games.
But I'm just saying, like, what is the motivation for him not to mortgage the future to go ahead and save the present? This is the problem with having Joe Shane still as GM. Point blank. Sorry, it is.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. It's eyebrow. There we go. We got it there. But I appreciate the answer. LOL. How much upside do you see with Shador? I'm trying to convince myself, but I don't see too much physical upside. What do you all think his ceiling is? Yeah, I mean, the only issue with him, to me, is his arm strength. I still question his arm strength to a certain degree. I still question the competition he played against. But he throws well. He throws with anticipation of where the receiver is going to be. He hits them in stride well like that. He played with the bad offensive line in Colorado, which would definitely help him here in New York. I don't hate Shador as a player. As far as his ceiling, that's where the issue I run into. I don't even know who I would compare him to necessarily. But I'm going to give you a weird comparison here.
Ooh, I like weird ones.
I'm going to go with it. He reminds me almost of like a Chad Pennington style player. Like a little bit of a weaker arm, really good hitting them in stride. Good as far as location thrower. Can do throws wherever. It's just might be a little bit of a lame duck throw if it's deep. But in the end, Chad Pennington was a winner. The guy won point blank wherever he went. Man, at the Super Bowl, obviously, but the Jets were better off with him. The Dolphins were better off with him. I just don't know if that's good enough to be a third overall pick, and that's my concern.
Yeah.
But it's a whole lot better than what we have had the last couple of years at quarterback. That's for damn sure. And then he says, no, I don't blame you at all. I've lived in the DMV my whole life, but somehow became a Giants fan when I was in elementary because of the OBJ catch. Now I'm stuck in purgatory while all my boys are having the seasons of their lives with a generational quarterback. Oh, he means DC, not the DMV. I was wondering, like, he lived in the DMV his whole life? Like, and I know the lines get long some days, but still, come on, like. Charles trying to register his car. Alrighty, let's go over the edge class here. So first up, obviously, we're going to talk edge rushers, guys. We got to talk about this man here, the $30 million man himself, Brian Burns, who seems very agitated in that photo. By the way, maybe got some of that.
I think he stepped on a Lego.
Ooh, that does hurt. That does.
Yeah.
Bet you get that corner. Ooh,
Yeah.
They're upside down. That's not good. So on the season, 17 games, all starts, 71 tackles, 8.5 sacks, 18 QB hits, 42 hurries, 4 batted passes, 17 tackles for loss, 8 passes deflected, and 2 forced fumbles. A 79.2 PFF grade, 82.9 PFF pass rush grade, and 61.8 run defense grade, which I got to say, I think is low. I feel like he's a better run defender than what PFF was giving him credit for. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. And PFF, again, guys, it's not the Bible. It's not the end all, but it's a good gauge at times of what someone's good or bad at for somebody who just wants to casually browse and look to see how they're doing, basically. The eye test tells me he's not a 61.8 run defense guy.
Yeah, no.
That I don't disagree with. So
listen, everyone out there who's just tuning in for the first time to the podcast. Drew has not been easygoing on Mr. Burns here all season long.
I have not, and that's what I was about to get into. Because here's the question: was he worth $30 million this year? Now, don't get me wrong. I love the way Brian Burns plays. I really do. I have no issues with the way he plays. He's not a $30 million guy. That's the problem I still run into, is we're still paying a guy as if he's freaking, the second coming of J.J. Watt, and he's just not. Now, he was also injured all year. I got to give the guy a lot of credit for playing through pain, playing through injuries in a season that, quite frankly, was over halfway through it, if not sooner.
Probably sooner.
Like, he played every single game, 42 hurries, that's a lot of hurries. 8.5 sacks, not that high, but he's not a high sack guy. We said that going into it. Don't expect a high sack total with him. He does anywhere from 8 to 11 sacks a season. That's what he does. That's standard for him. But 17 tackles for loss, that's pretty good. And I think tackles for loss is one of those stats that is not talked about enough. Because who cares who I hit behind the line of scrimmage? I hit somebody behind the line of scrimmage. Why is it the guy who gets the sack is like, ooh, he got a sack. He sacked the quarterback. But the guy running back 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage is looked at like, oh, good night.
Why is it more important to sack the quarterback a yard behind the line of scrimmage than it is to get to the running back who's 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage?
100%. I almost wish there was a stat, and maybe we can contact PFF on this. It'd be kind of fun to see how they respond, because they'd be the guys who look into this kind of metric. Like, I want to hear negative yards. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want a total on how many yards were negative, like for the tackle for loss, sack, whatever the case may be, because of that player. Because I guarantee you, with 17 tackles for loss and 8.5 sacks, he's probably not, very low on that. I'm very low on that list. There's probably in the top 10, top 15 tops.
Yeah.
But again, that's not a $30 million player.
No.
But it's still, like I said, he's still a very good player. And he's still a young player. Still actually has room for growth. He hasn't even hit his prime years technically for the year or two. People forget sometimes he's been in the league 5 years. He started the league when he was barely able to drink. Most times it's like late 20s, early 30s are like the prime time for an edge rusher. That's when they learn the knowledge and the skills where stuff becomes second nature to them. And they gain all these moves at that point over time. So, we'll see. I think with time he's going to get better. I really do. I still think that. I just don't think he'll ever live up to the contract. I think we just have to kind of swallow pride and deal with that.
See, I'm going to disagree with that. Like, I understand what you're saying. I do agree mostly what you're saying, but also it's the modern NFL. It's not the NFL of 10 years ago where you look at $30 million for an edge and it's amazing. And 5 years from now, that's going to be like going right for a top 15 of those in the league. And you can make the argument that he's up there.
I don't know. I look at
it's a change in the market. Like, look at wide receivers. When we said who was the first player in the wide receiver room that got paid $18 million, and we went, really? That's crazy. Yeah. How many players in the wide receiver room are getting paid $20 million now?
I know, but I know, like I said, he has the third highest average for money for the year there, the AAV, on his contract. The only ones higher are Josh Hines-Allen and Nick Bosa. TJ Watt is less. Myles Garrett is less. Danielle Hunter is less. Montez Sweat, Sean Gary, Max Crosby. I mean, these are all players that are making less per year than Brian Burns.
But not for long. That's what I'm saying.
We'll see. I mean, I feel like that's like a Daniel Jones kind of situation. We talked about that with Daniel Jones, but the next one coming up is actually TJ Watt and Danielle Hunter, because both of them after next year become free agents. Only ones coming out this year, I'm going to look right now, Hassan Reddick and Khalil Mack. And after what happened last year with Reddick, I don't know how valuable he's going to be. And Khalil Mack obviously is at the end of his career. He's not who he was at all. He's 34 years old. So, we'll see what happens there. So, all righty. Anyway, good year. Just still overpaid.
Yeah.
Next up, another overpaid player here, Kayvon Thibodeau.
Still on his rookie deal, whatever.
Still has rookie deal, but still being overpaid there. 12 games, 12 starts, 28 tackles, 5.5 sacks, 17 QB hits, 23 hurries, 8 tackles for loss, 2 passes deflected, and 1 forced fumble. 69.0 PFF grade on the season, 72.0 pass rush grade, 65.6 run defense grade. Now, I gotta say, I can't think off the top of my head, and correct me if you can think of something. I can't think of a single play that Kayvon Thibodeau did. We're like, oh, that's where he made a difference.
The top of my head, I can't think of anything. Even like when we played the Commanders, and you're like, oh, he dominates the Commanders, and
that was him last year. He literally had half his sacks against the Commanders and the Jets. It felt like, like that's just where he's at there. But this year,
I'm pretty sure he had 5.5 sacks against the Commanders last year.
It felt like that. That's for damn sure. But this year, like I said, something was not there. Now, what's interesting is last year he had 16 QB hits in 17 games. He had 17 this year. He had more QB hits this year than he did last year. And he went down from 11.5 sacks to 5.5 sacks.
And less games. Yeah.
So it just tells you part of it is he was also getting to the quarterback and getting the job done. And this time he wasn't quite getting the job done. And we talked about that. Remember years ago, Marcus Golden, that was one of the things we talked about when we let him go. It was like, oh, Marcus Golden can't repeat that. That was a ridiculous, ratio of times he got to the quarterback and he actually got him down to the ground. Well, it looks like Kayvon kind of that similar scenario last year and didn't repeat those kind of results. I mean, I don't want to make it seem like he's a bad player. He's not. I don't think Kayvon is a bad player whatsoever. Let me be very clear on that. I think most teams would take Kayvon Thibodeau on their roster in a freaking heartbeat. But this is kind of like we talked about Brian Burns, where I'm like, Brian Burns is being overpaid. He's not worth necessarily the contract we gave him. Well, Kayvon Thibodeau is overdrafted based on the production we're getting from him. If he was a second-round pick, you'd be like, okay, sure. But he's not. He was a fifth overall pick. Fifth overall pick, you need a guy who's going to be a consistent double-digit sack guy, Pro Bowl caliber edge rusher, and that's not what Kayvon's been. He's been an above-average player. He's still, like I said, he's still an above-average player in this league, guys. I'm not trying to like talk crazy and make it seem like he's some scrub. You know, this is not a TLC song moment. This is a moment where this is a moment where we got to acknowledge the fact that he has underperformed based on where he was drafted.
Yeah, even if you want to put like your stat measure out there, he started 12 games, played 12 games because he was out with injury. Like if you went 17 games, you're probably looking at 9 sacks instead of 5.5.
Not even that. That's probably high, to be honest. We can do the math real quick if you want. You know, we
could
if you want to.
It's somewhere between. It's probably about 3 sacks he would get extra.
Let's see, 5.5 divided by 12 times 17. That put him at not even 8, like 7.5. We'll call it. And again, that's not a bad season, guys. We just have high expectations because he's a 5th overall pick, and I think it's fair to put him in that kind of category as well because of the way he acts. Like he makes himself seem like he's some kind of star. He does. You know, he walks around all Hollywood style at that point. He looks for the spotlight. Well, when you look for the spotlight, guess what? It's going to find you. And not always in good ways. And that's what I feel like this is. And again, I like him. I think, you know, we can also sit there and say maybe the injury was part of it. Again, same as we said with Burns. Burns was definitely fighting an injury all year long that he did fight through and play every game. Kayvon missed 5 games. You know, so, but again, good player, not a great player. When you pick 5th overall, you're wanting a great player. We don't have a great player. Can he develop into one? Time will tell. But now the problem we run into is he's going into his 4th season. You know what that means? We got to make a decision on his 5th year option. And that's a big thing. And I'm telling you right now, I would personally, I would take it. I still would take it. And as much as I'm talking trash here,
you'd be silly not to. You would have to take it.
Yeah, I mean, it's $16 million is his 5th year option. He's worth it. He is a $16 million player. He's not a $20 to $25 million player, but $16 million, he's worth for it. So I think they should probably go ahead and take that, but we'll see what they do. It's an expensive position. It's an important position.
Yeah.
So, you know, Joe Shane has shown he cares about the importance of drafting and developing talents at those prime positions. The line, the edge rushers, you know, the wide receivers, the corners. If you notice what he's drafting in the first round, he's drafting those prime positions that tend to get overpaid in free agency. So, to me, it's a slam dunk. Keep him. All right. Let's talk about the guy who filled in for Kayvon when he was injured. And that's Azeez Ojulari. A guy that a lot of people thought would be a big-time free agent deal guy here, but got injured again. We lost Rob's camera again. Rob, are you there? Can you hear me?
I'm hear you. Drew, I'm looking into the light. Can you find me?
Go into the light. You're like a bad Disney movie right now with the ball like going in and out like that when you talk. Anyway, Azeez Ojulari, 11 games, 5 starts, 28 tackles, 6 sacks, 10 QB hits, 12 hurries, 7 tackles for loss, and 1 fumble recovery. Got a 54.6 PFF grade overall, 54.6 as far as the pass rush, and 60.0 as far as the run defense there. So again, we've talked about Azeez before as far as what should happen with him. To me, he's a guy the Giants should keep. He's a good guy to have as far as the the like a third pass rusher. That's what he is. Like that's what his specialty is. Ignore the PFF grades for a minute because he is a good pass rusher. I don't know why the grade is so low, to be very frank with you guys. He is a good pass rusher, but he's not a good run stopper. You know, you look at what happened when Azeez Ojol, I'm sorry, when Kayvon Thibodeau was hurt and Azeez had to come in for him, the run defense was much worse. They were running to that side of the field left and right, and he couldn't set the edge. He had guys running to the outside like crazy. He's not a guy who can be a starter in this league the way he plays, unless you have somebody really good on the other side next to him to keep an eye just in case for the running back to go whizzing on by. But what he is good is he's a guy that you can put in third down, pin his ears back, and go right for the damn quarterback.
Yep.
That's a skill. That's a skill in this league, and that's a skill people will pay. But you couple the fact that he's not good against the run with the fact that he's not good as far as staying healthy, then, yeah, he's probably not going to get paid too well because of that. I think you'll be hard-pressed to find somebody who goes, oh, here's this one-dimensional player that also can't stay healthy. We should pay him a ton of money.
Yeah. His best role is what's been lately. It's like, hey, you're not the dude that's going to start every down. That's just not what's going to happen. We're going to take 50% of the snaps away from you.
Yep.
Which allowed him to be healthier way longer through the year, and just pick up on his niche. Like, let's just put you in. Like you said, third and long. Go put your special helmet on. Let's go.
Yeah, and he's missed 22 games, guys, in the last 3 seasons. It's not just this 1 year. And you look at overall what he's done. He's on 58% of defensive snaps this past year. That's it, 58. So you're giving me, a 6-sack year when you're only on 58%. Again, I'm not trying to make it seem like he's like the greatest sack artist ever for the Giants or in football in general. But if you're getting that, that's not a lot of people are going to get that off their bench. That's for sure.
No, because if you put him 100%, where is he at? like
Well,
10.5%,
100%, but you figure about 80% maybe. Like that's the number that Brian Burns was at. I looked it up just to verify. Ironically enough, when you were saying that he was at 79% to be exact. So you figure, it's half, 1.5 times. That put about 9 sacks for the 11 games. And again, that's 11 games. That puts him at 13 or so for the season if he was playing full time. As I'm saying, he's a good pass rusher. He's just not a good run stopper. You got to use him for what he's good at, and not put him in the scenario like you wouldn't put him on it's 3rd and goal at the 1 yard line. let's put Azeez Ojolari in. Like, no, you would never do that. You'd put a guy like Boogie Basham in who's much better against the run. But it's still a skill. It's still a prime skill that people pay for. And I'm hoping the Giants bring back Azeez Ojolari at the end of the year. Because when it comes time for free agency, someone's going to see the value in him. There's still a value in a guy who can go out there and get to the quarterback.
100%.
Just you got to recognize what he's not good at. Staying healthy and stopping the run. So, all right. Next up, we got...
What does the fox say?
Timon Fox, there he is, the man, the myth, the legend himself, who's, of course, a guy we've had now for a couple of years, 11 games this year, 14 tackles, 1 sack, 3 QB hits, 2 tackles for loss, 62.6 PFF grade, 60.6 pass rush, 63.9 run defense. Listen, guys, there's not a lot to say about Timon Fox. I think the best way to sum it up really is he's not a bad depth guy. He's not a great depth guy. Well, he is. He's a solid bottom end of the roster kind of guy. And he's a guy you can put back and forth in the practice squad and the active roster because, let's be frank, there's a lot of people that fit in that category. But he's also a guy that he has a knack sometimes for being in the right place at the right time.
He really does.
It's weird. It's almost uncanny, but he does have that ability. And again, he's not embarrassing himself when he's out there. So, I think that he's going to be probably a Giant again next year, bargaining kind of crazy additions to the edge room depth. And he'll probably do the same thing. He'll be a guy who bounces around between the active roster and the practice squad. And, probably that's probably going to be his peak. I hate to say it that way. He'd probably got 1 or 2 more years of doing that unless something crazy happens and all of a sudden he turns a corner. but you don't tend to turn a corner after a couple of years with the team.
Typically not.
No, typically not.
Also depends on coach, staff, and management. But
that it does, and we'll have to see what happens with that because there'll be some changes I think to this defense potentially for next year.
Yeah.
So. Next up, we got Boogie Basham, the Oogie Woogie Boogie boy from Capital B.
Boogie.
Mr. Oogie Boogie. So, I love the Nightmare Before Christmas. This year, 4 games, 9 tackles, 1 QB hit, 3 hurries, 1 batted pass, 1 tackle for loss, and 1 pass deflected. Guys, this is a guy that I'm surprised how much PFF loved his tape here. So 73.7 PFF grade, 66.1 pass rush grade, 75.8 run defense grade, which is just crazy on a team that, let's be very frank, was horrible at stopping the run. Horrible all season long. Again, he only played in 4 games. That was, part of the issue there. But, I feel like this is a guy that kind of gets trashed around a little bit because we traded for him. I feel like that added expectations. Like, oh, well, we gave him a pick. He must be a great player. Like, no, he's not. He's not a great player, guys. He's a guy who, quite frankly, has underperformed from where he was drafted.
Yeah.
But you could do a lot worse in depth-wise to Boogie Basham. Same as I talked about with Azeez Ojulari, you have to use him for what he's good for. If it's 3rd and long and you want to go after the quarterback, Boogie Basham is not the guy you're putting in there.
Yeah.
But he is the guy at 3rd and 1.
He's also got a great name for this position.
Yes. Both first and last.
Yeah.
Well, Boogie's not his real name. It's Carlos, but still, I mean, it's just, like I said, it's like I said, he's not a bad depth piece, but you can't expect too much. If you're expecting him to all of a sudden turn a corner and be the player people thought he was coming out of college, you're crazy. We've seen him enough, and not just with us, but Buffalo as well. He's just not that good. So, you kind of have to just accept the limitations of what he is and understand that he's going to make some decent plays against the run. He's not going to give you much against the pass. And it is what it is. It's why he's not a starter.
Yeah.
Alrighty. One last edge guy here. And a guy that easily could be forgotten because you didn't see too much from there. Patrick Johnson. That was kind of mean, wasn't it? Me saying it is what it is. 12 games, 4 tackles,
2 first names,
1 QB hit, guys. It got a 50.2 PFF grade on the season, 55.5 pass rush grade, and a 50.0 run stopping grade there. Again, a guy that you didn't really see too much there is what the problem is there. It's hard to really judge him there. He only did 46 snaps on defense overall, 263 on special teams. He's a special teamer. It's what he is. Ain't no shame in that whatsoever. But if you bring him back, you're bringing him back for that. And quite frankly, I've never been a fan really of guys who play special teams and that's it, except for returners. Returners are very important. I like my special teamers that play a little offense, play a little defense. And Patrick Johnson just doesn't do it. And let's be honest in the fact that we had people getting injured that were supposed to be those guys. The Carter Coughlins, the Matthew Adams of the world, those guys. And unfortunately, because of those injuries, we had to pivot. We pivoted to Patrick Johnson. I'm not sure we pivot that way again next year.
Probably not. That's a nice way to put it.
It is. I mean, but, maybe you bring him in for training camp and see if he happens to outperform people. He knows the defense. He knows the guys there. No issues bringing him back in for that. But you can't have high expectations for the guy at this point, He's been in the league. Now this is his 4th year in the league. He's already exceeded the average, So, like I said, it just kind of is what it is at this point there. So, all righty, guys. That's going to call it a night for us here tonight. So, let's see if we got any comments here we can go over first before then. Let's see here. Deb says, I think Burns is better than Tibbs. 100% agreed. I don't think there's any doubt. And if anybody says otherwise, then they just don't know football. Point blank. Steven says Olivia Vernon all over again, talking about Burns. Not the worst analogy. Probably not the worst. Dorothy says, you guys think they will target free agency defensive ends? Joe Tryon, Clavon Chasen, Peyton Turner, Chase Young, only 26. I don't know that's what we're looking at because we got the 2 starters. Now, if we don't bring back Azeez Ojulari, maybe they go for a third guy like that, like one of these kind of guys. But, with some of those guys accept that, Chase Young probably wouldn't accept that. Joe Tryon, let's be honest, kind of been a disappointment in Tampa. He might. Clavon Chasen, same thing, disappointment. But I don't want to go get disappointments. I want to get guys that can show they can do things in this league, and Azeez Ojulari has proven that. I would honestly just go ahead and maybe get 1 or 2 other guys in the room just for depth pieces, and that's it. If you can happen to swing a 4th guy that's of Azeez's caliber, great. But we need a lot of positions, and that's not one of the huge needs, So I wouldn't go crazy. Maybe even draft somebody. Crazy idea.
It's like we do this every year.
I know. All righty, guys. So that's going to call it a night for us here. As always, we are live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and, of course, X and Rob's favorite.
Drew's LinkedIn page.
My LinkedIn. So it's my Drew's. But my LinkedIn
Drew's LinkedIn page.
That's me. And of course, as always, we're available the next day on all the audio podcast platforms: Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Amazon, all the big ones there, guys. So if you haven't already, do me a favor, hit that like, hit that subscribe button there.
Ring that bell.
The show. That's a great way of doing it. Of course, you can also send super chats on YouTube, stars on Facebook. And the big thing, honestly, just hit the thumbs up if you're on YouTube. And like I said, watch the show. YouTube sees that. Facebook sees that. They go, oh, people are watching. They like it. Share it. Share it to more people. Somebody likes it.
Send it out to the medias.
Exactly. So, again, appreciate you guys' support and everything on the show. I know this is kind of the slow down time of the season here. But like I said, we'll continue having 3 episodes a week no matter what. That's our promise to you. We always will do 3 no matter what. So we'll let you guys get back to the college football game. Those of you guys are watching should probably have that on mute next to you. So appreciate you guys for watching as always. And as always, Giant fans,
Thanks for listening to 2 Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support.
Thanks so much.
please, I'm